Here is the resulting grammar after applying rules 1, 2, 3. Now let's look at this. This says A3 implies A followed by alpha, A followed by alpha, A followed by alpha, and in this case A followed by empty string. So the productions starting with this, they have GNF property. Similarly, A2 implies B. Now that we know this is in GNF, can we go for our simple substitution? Okay. What was the purpose of applying this? So that when you apply rule 1, 2, 3, you don't get into cyclic argument. For example, when we discussed in one of our example, we saw S imply AS, S imply SS. There we had a cyclic argument. And rule 2 says when you get S imply SS or AK implies AK, rule 2 says how you can replace AK implies AK followed by something, say AK beta, with appropriate productions. So now that the cyclic thing will not happen because of these three rules, and the simplified grammar is the following. Now one can apply simple substitution and get GNF. Now what we will do is we will use these and substitute here so that A2 becomes GNF. Substitute A3 in A2 implies A3 A1. So what will happen? This implies that all productions that begin with A2 will be in GNF. After that, what I'll do, I'll substitute here. Order is important. So substitute A2 in A1 implies A2 A3. This implies that A1 is in GNF. Now at the end of applying all this, go to B3, substitute A1 in B3 implies A1 A3 A2 as well as A1 A3 A2 B3. B3 implies A1 A3 A2 B3. This will give us that B3 is in GNF. So a systematic way of applying first A3 followed by A2 followed by A1, we get to see that the resultant grammar is in GNF. Fine. Hope are you all with me? So the problem if you look at the given grammar, you may find the cyclic productions, or you may find productions where something like A3 implies A2 or A3 implies A1. From a larger index, you will go to a smaller index. So such things are taken care of using this. Now a simple substitution will take us to the solution. Now substitute A3 in A2. Now A2 becomes, we need to substitute each of them, so which means it becomes B A3 A2 B3 followed by A1, or you may substitute A B3 followed by A1, or you may substitute this, so B A3 A2 followed by A1, or you may substitute A, so we get A1 and this production. This will remain as it is, this will be part of the solution. Now you see that for A2 it is A alpha, and again A alpha, terminal followed by a string over non-terminals. Okay. Now substitute this in A1. Now A1 becomes A2 A3, which means we get B A3 A2 B3 A1 A3, or substitute A B3 A1 A3, or substitute B A3 A2 A1 A3 A1 A3 B A3. Fine. Now you see that A1 is in GNF, A followed by string of non-terminals, A followed by string of non-terminals, and so on. Now that you have value for A1, substitute over here. So now you see that B3 implies A1, A3, A2, and in place of A1 substitute this B, A3, A2, B3, A1, A3 followed by A3, A2. Okay. Or A, B3, A1, A3, A3, A2, or B, A3, A2, A1, A3, A3, A2, or B3 implies A, A1, A3, A3, A2, or B, A3 followed by A3, A2. And there is one more. B3 implies B, A3, A2, B3, A1, A3 followed by A3, A2, B3, or B3 implies A, B3, A1, A3, A3, A2, B3, or B, A3, A2, A1, A3 followed by A3, A2, B3, or A1, A3 followed by A3, A2, B3, or B A3 followed by A3, A2, B3. Fine. Now we see that for B3, all of them have this pattern A followed by alpha, and A followed by alpha, A followed by alpha. Now for the given grammar, here is the resultant Greibach normal form. For each of them, the production as the following type: A implies small a, or A implies a terminal followed by a string of non-terminals. So what we do is, given a grammar, either you can apply this rule directly, or we simplify and go to CNF and CNF to Greibach normal form. First we check whether rule 1 is applicable, and we apply that as many times as we can until we get to see all productions of the type AK implies AK prime, where K prime is at least K, and then we check are there productions of the type AK implies AK alpha. If so, we apply rule 2, and wherever rule 3 is applicable, we apply that as well. And on successful application of rule 1, rule 2, rule 3, we get to see that at least one will be in Greibach normal form, and all other productions, the index will be on the larger side. So what we will do is we will systematically do the substitution, so that with this we get this in GNF, with this we get this in GNF, subsequently we get this in GNF. Okay, so the introduction of additional variable like P3 is a trick to avoid the cyclic productions which is given as part of the grammar. Okay, so quite interesting normal form. We demand normal form of this type when we look at compiler design, and when we look at parsing, there we say each production should respect this property, which is why normal form like Chomsky normal form, Greibach normal form were discovered in the literature. Okay. We shall explore more about this as part of scribe tutorial session and so on.